In a stealthy move by AP photographer Angelina Katsanis, Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was seen reading a text message from Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins. The text reveals that Rollins is worried that China has outmaneuvered the United States buying up Argentina's soybeans while refusing to buy any American soybeans, virtually killing the U.S. agriculture industry. Here's a chart of soybean sales to China, which has fallen to virtually zero. And it's not just soybeans, by the way. Under Trump, the United States has also ceded China's beef sales to Australia. And these are just two examples of the economic flight that is taking place at the hands of this administration, but is particularly damaging to America's farmers. And what's worse is that at the same time, Trump is also considering bailing out Argentina's economy to the tune of $20 billion. In other words, Argentina and China cut a deal to cut American farmers out of the mix, and in response, Trump hands Argentina money because, and I hope you're ready for this, Argentina's president is a right-wing Trump fan.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw! That's perfect. All right.
I love it. Mr. President, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
In other words, as long as you're nice to Donald Trump, then he will sell out his own country in a heartbeat because his ego's been massaged. But hey, America first, am I right? And let's be clear, the extent to which American farmers are hurting right now is beyond evident.
Farmer Donnie Lawson is having to rethink his expenses for fertilizer and new equipment this month.
It's not only your gross income, but it's your net income.
China hasn't placed any new orders from Indiana or any other U.S. states at all in recent weeks.
It really doesn't come as any surprise that China's doing this. Any country that has an issue with the United States, the first thing they usually attack is agricultural commodities.
One of the four directors of the United Soybean Board, Tom Griffith, says this not only hurts the farmers, but the economy as a whole.
That means that anybody involved in the automotive industry, technology field, anybody who's built wiring harnesses, trucking, all these industries will suffer because of it.
His board has been working to weaken their dependence on China as they predicted this for several years. Now other countries are starting to become larger purchasers instead.
You look at all the other different countries, whether it's Japan and all those that want our products.
Lawson is thankful to have a diverse set of crops to help stay afloat while the soybean industry takes a hit, and is hopeful that next season will be different.
I'm probably certain that the Trump administration will do something to offset the losses we're going to suffer this fall. It's going to be needed and welcome. But again, we would prefer just to have those open markets.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Yeah, if we got 100% of everything else, we would still only have half the Chinese business.
So what's the Trump administration looking to do to fix this? Well, they're going to do what they did during Trump's first term and use taxpayer money to bail out the farmers. But here's the deal. That is a Band-Aid. And by the way, the farmers know that it's a Band-Aid. When supply chains get disrupted because of these Trump trade wars, even after the trade wars end, the supply chains do not go back to normal. Why? Because a major component of trade is stability. And if the US betrays the reality that it's not a stable or reliable trade partner, which under Trump it's not, then even after these tariffs are eliminated, customers are not going to just come back. They're not going to revert back to normal. And guess what? They haven't. Farmers have been getting squeezed for the better part of a decade, and now the same exact policies that are responsible for that squeeze are being re-implemented because the president is a moron who wants to feel tough by presiding over a trade war. And by the way, it's worth noting that the reason for the trade war is because the federal government is starving for revenue, considering Trump cut taxes on the wealthiest Americans in his latest legislation, which means that federal revenues plummet. And so as a way to plug that new hole, Trump is imposing a consumption tax on Americans by tariffing goods coming into this country and then pretending that foreign countries pay that tax. They don't. It is a tax on Americans. It's a tax that penalizes us for buying things, which is not great when you're trying to stimulate the economy, which probably explains why Moody's warned that a third of American states are already in a recession and another third have economies that are completely stagnant. Trump mouthpiece John Thune was asked why American taxpayers should bail out farmers due to a policy that Trump created and that Thune supports. Here's what he had to say.
Why should American taxpayers bail out farmers who are hurting because of the president's tariff policies?
Well, look, I think that the farmers, and I represent a lot of them, and they want nothing more than open markets. There are markets right now that aren't open to some of our commodities. And as a consequence of that, we've got a big harvest coming in here in South Dakota, corn and soybeans, and no place to go with it. So what the president has said is, I'm going to support and I'm going to help our farmers. And so we are looking at, I'm a member of the Senate Ag Committee, have been for some time, and we're looking at potential solutions to make sure that we can help support farmers until some of those markets come back. I think part of it is that the president's trying to achieve with his trade policy reciprocity with countries that have been taking advantage of us for a long time. And I think most of us support that. I think a lot of our farmers support that. They are anxious. They want to see markets opened up. And so when I speak to the president and his team about this, I always reiterate the importance of keeping agriculture front and center when you're negotiating trade deals. But at the end of the day, our farmers are probably going to need some financial assistance this year, and a lot of the revenue coming in off the tariffs is what they would use to provide that.
So Trump is trying to achieve reciprocity, and he's such a brilliant deal maker that the result is that not only is there no reciprocity, but he's actually permanently killing the agriculture industry. Farmers are losing their farms. Full crops in this season are being spoiled. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't part of being a deal maker actually making deals? The reality is that Donald Trump can try and speak some alternate reality into existence, but the consequences of his policies could not be more obvious. America knows it, farmers know it, and now we know that his own administration knows it. This trade war is an unmitigated disaster that is bankrupting the agriculture sector here in the United States. And yet these administration officials are so afraid of standing up to the God King that they just sit idly by, texting each other in private by watching Americans get screwed because their only priority is massaging the fragile ego of a 79-year-old man-child. Trump promised that he'd come into office and focus on you, and yet for the umpteenth time, he's showing that his only priority is himself. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.